we would not want to sacrifice the security for performance. That would not be a good thing.
Welcome to Shielded, the last line of cyber defense by PQ Shield, the podcast where we are moving the conversation around post-quantum cryptography from the why to the how. I'm Joe Lintzen, your host, and I'm here to guide you through the challenges, innovations, and solutions that will help your organization stay secure in the quantum era. Let's future-proof your defenses together. Welcome to Shielded, the last line of cyber defense, the podcast where we dive into the future of cybersecurity and post-quantum cryptography. Remember to subscribe, like, and share if you enjoy our content. I'm your host, Joe Lintzen, and today we're joined by two incredibly influential figures from the OpenSSL Foundation, Tomáš Mráz, Director of the OpenSSL Software Foundation, and Jon Ericson, Communities Manager. OpenSSL has long been at the heart of securing communications across the internet. And as we stand on the precipice of the quantum era, Tomáš and Jon are here to share their expertise on the vital role OpenSSL is playing in preparing for the quantum era. They'll also discuss the upcoming release of OpenSSL 3.6 hybrid signature support, certifications, and the OpenSSL community's commitment to post-quantum cryptography. Tomáš, Jon, thank you both so much for joining us today.
Of course. Yeah, thank you for having us.
Thank you too.
Absolutely, my pleasure. Now, to kick things off, maybe you could both share a bit of your professional journey. Tomáš, if you don't mind, how did you first get involved with OpenSSL and cryptography, and what led you to take on that leadership role at the OpenSSL Foundation?
It's actually quite a long journey because I started with working with some crypto it was like 2000 or 2001 when I started working with crypto, and very quickly I started working with OpenSSL, which was in really, really early stages of it.
Right. I think the initial release was 1998?
Yeah, it was 1998.
Around that time, right? Yeah.
That was like, we celebrated 25 years, like
right. just recently.
A while ago.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I started there in my work to use OpenSSL to basically secure communications, and at the time I was using OpenSSL to implement some PKCS11 crypto card module, PKCS11 module for some crypto card, and then when I became software engineer at Red Hat, I started almost immediately maintaining the OpenSSL package in Red Hat Enterprise Linux and Fedora. So it was also a very long time ago. And doing that maintenance for a long time, basically, enabled me to also become part of the OpenSSL development community and the committers, and then I moved to OTC, which was the so-called OpenSSL technical committee, which managed the technical matters around the OpenSSL code base, and then. In the end, there was some offer from OpenSSL project, and I could became a full-time developer of OpenSSL, which made me very happy. And then we had recently this reorganization where although these the OpenSSL Foundation and OpenSSL Corporation as the sister kind of organizations existed from 2014, they were like pretty dormant. They were managed like together. There was one sort of committee that was managing them. That transformed, and we decided to have like really two separate organizations managed separately. And I was very fond of joining OpenSSL Foundation in the sort of management role, but I would like to keep my software development skills still and do some software development as well. So it's like I'm trying to do both, balance. Yeah.
Well, that's great. Thanks for sharing, Tomáš. And then Jon, of course, your role, you focus more on community engagement. So what drew you to OpenSSL, and how do you see the community's impact also in shaping the future of the project? As Tomáš said, there's quite some changes that you're implementing.
Yeah, so I've been a community manager for a while. Before that, I was a programmer, but haven't really done anything with that. When I came onto the OpenSSL Foundation as a community manager, I was really excited because this is a community-driven project from the very beginning. The contributions came from people who weren't getting paid, and that continues to be the case. That we get a very fair number of contributions from people who are just interested in fixing something in OpenSSL, or they see a bug, or there's some feature they want, and so we get a fair amount of contributions from that, and also it's a project that's been around for a long time. A lot of people use it. It's used in all sorts of different ways, and it's very important that we understand how people are using the software. And that means connecting with the community. And so that's the thing that was most exciting to me when I joined. I've only been around for 6 months or so, but it's been a fantastic experience to work with not only the developers who are paid staff, but also the many people who contribute just for their own edification or for their own personal reasons.
Right. Thanks for sharing that, Jon. And of course that gives us a pretty good view on, how OpenSSL is shaping up as an organization, and some of the updates that you touched upon. Now, you're looking at more the cryptography space, and are there any strategic initiatives that are currently driving your efforts in your respective roles within OpenSSL Foundation?
I have found that people are very excited about post-quantum. That is, I wrote one post that immediately became my most well-received post. Was just writing about a very basic post-quantum, the ML chem algorithm, and that became very popular right away because people are genuinely excited about this topic, either from personal curiosity or because they see what's coming.
Right. Yeah. With all those timelines being communicated by European Union and the separate countries within the US, certainly a big push through NIST and CNSA 2.0. Of course, talking about the OpenSSL Foundation, very quickly, we're also going to be talking about funding, right? So maybe you can share a little bit on funding initiatives and what's the current status there, and how that might be changing.
Yeah, I probably can talk about that because as a director, I'm also in the role of treasurer of OpenSSL Foundation. It's like we have funding. We have agreed funding with the OpenSSL Corporation because they have like this good source of funding through the support contracts. But of course, we don't want to be depending on just this single income, and to be able to focus on non-commercial communities, which is the focus of OpenSSL Foundation. We want to have some independent funding. We applied for some grants, applied for a grant from Sovereign Tech Fund, that's from European Union, We also applied to other grants. We have some promised money from some sponsors, from the existing sponsors and new sponsors. So I cannot really announce anything right now, because it's like most of it's we have some promised promised grants, but we didn't yet sign the agreement, so we cannot really announce it yet. But we are like on a good path, I would say.
So and those are organizations that get involved via writing those grants. So that's a door that's always open. If I'm an organization and I would like to contribute, financially, obviously, or I mean, I can contribute with expertise, and given it's the open community, of course, there's avenues there as well.
Yeah, for sure. We get a hybrid of donations. So there's some in-kind donations where people are contributing experts that they, a company hires, and then there's money, which is obviously great because we can use that to hire, more developers, more people who work on the code and the documentation, the tests. And we also have GitHub sponsors, which are very small donations that we appreciate as well, because they do make a difference. And so I would say, if you have an interest in what OpenSSL is doing, like there are ways to contribute monetarily and not, and we are excited about any of those. There's no one who's like, oh no, we're only getting code from you. No, we're excited about that. We're enthusiastic about it.
That's great. And so there are processes and procedures in place for someone who, isn't engaged with the community yet, but then once, they visit your GitHub pages, or there's an easy way to get engaged and start contributing.
Exactly. Our website, we have a getting started page, and then there's, information about how you could become, we have a code protectors program to help sponsor OpenSSL, as well as, of course, the GitHub sponsorship, which is really easy for anybody to do.
Yeah. Fantastic. Now, John, early on you said, it's interesting for you to hear all the different use cases and all the different ways that OpenSSL is getting used. Do you have a recent example that you can share that was maybe surprising, or maybe a little bit out of the ordinary, what you typically see as far as those use cases are concerned?
Yeah, so we recently did something called OpenSSL in the Wild, and that's where we did a survey to go ask people for use cases. And I had a conversation with a developer last week who has created a library for communicating with serial devices. So these are, you normally have to plug them into your computer into a serial port, and they tend to be, hardware that is not connected to the internet. And so he wrote a library that will allow you to connect that over the internet. And of course, once you connect it to the internet, your secrets are available. Yes. So it's, these devices might send plain text passwords because they assume that you're going to plug it, hard line into your computer. And so he developed the library, and then on top of that, he's using OpenSSL to implement a secure layer so that you don't send your password plain text over the internet. It goes through a TLS connection. So that one was really fascinating. We're getting more, and I'm going to be writing about some of these other stories as we get them. But it's used like unbelievably everywhere. Things that you just can't imagine. We have a sponsor from Mercedes, and I have a Mercedes van that I bought, and there's a little app on my phone to tell if I can unlock the doors or lock them. Well, I would really like that to be secure, and so I'm glad that they're using OpenSSL in their stack to make sure that someone who is not authorized to open my van can't open it.
Yeah, we do want to avoid that, right? So it sounds like, I mean, the first use case that you elaborate on is like, is that an operation technology use case? It sounds like. Would you imagine that is somewhat linked to the PQC migration as well, or was that completely unrelated?
Oh no, that's unrelated. I mean, I don't think, I think OpenSSL has just been sort of the standard toolkit for people for so many years. But one of the nice things is if when this library realizes, we need to worry about quantum computing, it's easy to just add it. They're not going to spend hours for having to rewrite code. They just update to 3.5 or 3.6 and they're good to go.
Yeah. It is that ease of use and that flexibility that is built in, and particularly I think with the provider concept, that allows, like you said, an easy plug and play upgrade paths. So maybe you can share a little bit about the provider concept and what it is and why it is. Well, I think it was introduced in 3.0, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that was basically a huge rewrite of OpenSSL internals, the library internals, in 3.0, where we introduce the providers, because there was previously this concept called engines, which also allowed you to implement some hardware support or some special implementations of algorithms. But basically, it was very hard through the engine interface to support new algorithms. You would have to have changes in the library as well if you wanted to add new algorithm. And so the provider concept is much more general. It's designed in a way that basically the providers don't have to depend on exact version of the library. So if they are properly implemented, they could be completely independent of OpenSSL library itself. So it's more of a interface similar to, for example, PKCS11 interface for modules. And the example is that there is, for example, PKCS11 provider, which is just a thin layer of some code plumbing that basically converts the PKCS11 interface into the provider interface for OpenSSL. It's a sort of translation layer. So this provider concept allowed us to support one important, from the post-quantum point of view, important project that is the OQS provider, which was gathering all these experimental implementations of various post-quantum algorithms, including those NIST algorithms. So yeah, this is and we had on mind, actually, when we designed the provider interface, these use cases like some primary use cases like this PKCS11 modules or new algorithms for post-quantum, because at the time when 3.0 was developed, post-quantum was already a word. It was already the NIST competition was already in progress, and
So if you look at that journey, starting with support for libOQS, and then eventually in 3.5 introducing your own implementations, how do you see that journey of support for the ever-changing post-quantum algorithms? How do you see that sort of projecting forward?
It for us to implement algorithms in 3.5, what the very important milestone was really the publishing the standards by NIST. Yeah, that was the most important thing, because we want to implement only algorithms that are really standardized, not just by NIST, but by some standard bodies. We are open to implement other algorithms if there are other standard bodies which standardize other additional algorithms, post-quantum algorithms. So, and it was like very like a hectic time at the time of like when we started development of the 3.5 version, because originally we had like very different priorities for that 3.5 version, but when the standardization process finally completed, and we were slightly like surprised that it was a little bit faster than we expected. We decided to really change our priorities. We had some meetings together with the foundation and corporation managements, and we decided to that we really need to follow this and offer our huge user base this post-quantum algorithms.
No, I mean,
they're standardized.
As you rightfully point out, right, the release of the NIST standards, almost a year ago now, right, August 2024. That was really the starting line for a lot of those efforts. And then, like you said, we see those standards trickle through, and other standards bodies are following suit in their recommendations, and some regional differences, of course, with European Union promoting some of the other algorithms as well. And given that you have that global user base, that there's of course a lot to pay attention to. Now, we're talking about contributors and how to get involved a little earlier, and we were also somewhat talking about the threats out there. So I'm curious if a person wants to get involved with OpenSSL, wants to become a contributor or even a maintainer. What are the checks and balances that you guys have in place to vet someone who starts to engage with the foundation?
So I guess the first thing is, if you're contributing code, we need a license agreement from you. So that's pretty basic. I don't know, Tomáš, do we have a vetting process, not for individual contributors?
Well, the vetting process is basically the review process. Yeah, we basically are looking at the individual pull requests for the code base that the person is submitting. Of course, but we are not really distinguishing if that person is, for example, from some big company like, I don't know, Intel or IBM, or I don't know, or it's some individual contributor. It's more of a really, you look at the submitted code very, very deeply. I think especially for new contributors, we will apply more scrutiny on their PRs. But other than that, there is like no like special process for like allowing somebody to contribute code. Of course, once you want to become a maintainer, we call basically those elevated people with elevated privileges over the code base, we call them committers. There is like you would have to have like much like very long history of writing good code and pull requests and providing, for example, some reviews as well, like good review comments on others' PRs, and we would probably look at your like what are you as a person as well, I assume. But that's a different process, I would say. But for individual contributions, it's really about code review, I would say.
Right. More on the quality side of things than anything else. Yeah. No, that makes a lot of sense. So of course, we spoke a little bit about OpenSSL 3.5, which was released in, I believe, in March of this year.
Yes, April, I think, but
April.
Around that time, yeah. And that, of course, introduced some significant new features. But then, everyone's kind of looking towards 3.6 now. Can you share a little bit on, what to expect in 3.6, what the next releases is going to look like?
It's actually quite hard because it's like we have some priority list, but it's still going through the back and tech which are our advisory committees, like business advisory committee and technical advisory committee. We are currently working on multiple things, but our releases are basically time-based. Yeah, so we have releases which are scheduled periodically, like in October and April, and we merge features to OpenSSL, new features to OpenSSL only when we agree they are ready. So we develop them on separate branches and only merge them when they are ready. And we currently are working on like improvements for the QUIC stack. For example, the zero RTT support. We are working on things like timing side channel protection for the big num library, which is part of the libcrypto of OpenSSL library. We are working on improvements for the post-quantum algorithms. Not sure if we will have like hybrid signatures, because that's something which is really hot topic on like the standardization bodies like IATF. It's still not in the phase where we could implement something really. So yeah, that's about it. There are some other things that are contributed mostly externally, like encrypted client hello, which is also in development, or DTLS 1.3. But I cannot really promise that any of these will be in 3.6. There will be something definitely, but which of these things it will be, I cannot really tell right now.
Well, and then of course, besides releasing 3.5, I think the other big milestone earlier this year was the FIPS 140-3 certification, right? So congratulations again on that. What's your outlook on additional FIPS validations? I believe that one is for 3.1, if I'm not mistaken.
The existing validation is on 3.1, 3.1.2 version actually. Of course, it does not have any post-quantum crypto yet. It took quite a long time to get actually this version to be validated. Yeah, it was yeah. Well, and it was like one of the we submitted the validation quite early, and there were some like really hard talks between NIST and us and the lab and so on. It's like always when you do something completely new, it takes time. Yes, exactly. We as a foundation, but the corporation has ensured the contract for the 3.5 validation, version validation, which I think this is already submitted, is in the like modules in work or not under review. There is this like the first stage basically. Yeah. So that's something that we hope to have quite soon as well. And
given
of course
it's for 3.5, you said that would then also
it's for
include
the 3.1 version of OpenSSL.
Yeah, it would also include the post-quantum
it will
algorithms
include all
well.
the NIST algorithms for post-quantum.
The ones that you currently can certify
That's
against.
basically the MLCAM, MLDSA, and SLHDSA.
Right. SLHDSA, yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then, of course, asking about a timeline when FIPS certification is involved.
That's out of our hands.
Anyone's guess at that point, right? Yeah. So I guess before we wrap up, I know there's a huge first actually in the OpenSSL history coming up quickly as well in October, and that of course is the OpenSSL conference that is scheduled for October 7 to 9, I believe, in Prague. So I'd be curious to hear your take, Jon and Tomáš, on why we should be excited about this and what we should be looking forward to.
Yeah, so we got a ton of proposals for talks, and our program committee, which includes the two advisory committees that Tomáš mentioned, the BAC and the TAC, they've been going through and rating them, and I'm excited just sort of glancing through the titles with all the fun and interesting things that are coming up. I can't tell you any of them yet because they haven't been we haven't picked them for sure. So registration is going to be coming up very soon with an early bird that you would want to get in on so that you can save a little bit of cost that way.
Yeah, we also plan to present the list of at least pre-selected talks that when we open the registration. So we already have some very interesting names on the OpenSSL conference website mentioned there that will be presenting, like Dan Bernstein or other quite important people. I'm also part of the program committee and I'm reviewing the submissions right now, and there are really some good interesting talks that I would present. I would myself would like to see them really. So I think that I can recommend people to go.
Right, if you yourself are interested in it, that's a good seal of quality there. Now, if we look ahead a little bit, I'd be curious to hear your take on what are the next sort of 3 to 5 years. What are they going to bring for OpenSSL, and particularly what role do you think OpenSSL is going to play in supporting and continue to support the migration towards post-quantum cryptography?
I think it will be a very important part of the infrastructure for securing internet and as it is now. Yeah. So and I hope that our efforts in implementing the post-quantum crypto will basically maintain at least the position. We of course need to work on performance improvements because the initial implementations for the post-quantum crypto are basically written in C language, and there could be some improvements by having some assembler implementations for specific CPUs and so on. So that's another part of how to ensure that OpenSSL will be used and can be used.
Balancing, you mentioned side channel protection earlier, always balancing the performance versus security aspect, right?
Of course,
to hit that sweet spot
we would not want to sacrifice the security for performance. That would not be good thing. So yeah, I hope that OpenSSL Foundation as our company will really grow, we will have some more software developers, because currently all of our software developers are also directors of the foundation, which is kind of awkward. But we hope to change that quite soon. And yes, we are currently actually selecting some software engineers. So we already have some applicants which are looking very good. So I'm happy about that, and I hope we will expand even more to be able to support all of these new technologies and new algorithms, because I don't think these three algorithms are the final ones, or I hope that they won't need changes because they would be broken, but I hope that there will be even better new algorithms that will be more efficient. And
already now we have FNDSA or Falcon on the horizon, right? Which is always, that's going to be finalized within the next few months. So that seems to be the moving target, right? And then of course there's HQC as well. I don't know. Do you get any interest in those two particularly?
Yes, because they are looking, and for some particular use cases, they are really better than the existing three. So it's something that you would certainly look at implementing once they are standardized. Really.
Once we're at that point, probably going to be another, 18 months, 24 months for HQC, something along those lines, maybe.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing that, Tomáš. Jon, what's your take? What are the next 3 to 5 years are gonna look like for?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of exciting things coming up. Like as Tomáš mentioned, we're looking to grow in terms of our capabilities, and obviously that depends on funding, which is always important. I think from my perspective, a big thing is that we know that there are lots and lots of people on very old versions of OpenSSL, and those are not getting the benefits of the features we're talking about. And I think something that may become more and more important as time goes on is to help those folks move forward and get on. We just released 3.5 as a long-term staple, and so that'd be a good target for people who don't necessarily want to be bleeding edge, but we need people. More of these software products need to be pulled into the newer versions, so that they're not left behind when the world changes in various ways and new technology comes in. So that's the part. That's one of the parts that is a little bit concerning for me. I'm thinking of all these things that are not updated, but also exciting. It's a great opportunity to remind people of how important internet security is, and that by updating to the latest OpenSSL, they're maintaining for all of their users, all of the people that rely on them, they're maintaining high security and the performance and all the rest.
Yeah, and that's certainly our digital environment being as connected as it is. People oftentimes forget that yes, even that needs to be, secured against those attacks, because if it has an IP address on it and it's connected to it's wide open, right? So yeah. I think that's always a good call to action to say, upgrade to the latest and be sure to stay ahead of the curve. Well, fantastic, Jon and Tomáš. Thanks so much for the conversation. It's been a pleasure to have you as guests. Thank you for joining today. And as always, also thanks to our listeners for tuning and listening in to yet another episode. And remember to hit subscribe so you never miss an episode. Be sure to like and comment if you did like what Jon and Tomáš was talking about. I certainly did. So thanks for that.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Thank you very much.
My pleasure. The quantum era is already here. With the right tools, the right knowledge, and the right mindset, together we can face it head on. To find out more about PQ Shield and how our cutting-edge solutions can help you secure your data against the quantum threat, visit pqshield.com. Make sure to search for Shielded, the last line of cyber defense in Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or anywhere else you get your podcasts. Don't forget to click subscribe so you never miss an episode. On behalf of the team here at PQ Shield, thanks for listening.